Hey folks, Vince the Evil DM here. Another day for another video for Palladium Fantasy, Railguns and Dragons. Welcome back to the series. Hopefully everybody is having a great week. We're getting closer to holidays here. Thanksgiving's coming up, Hanukkah's coming up, Christmas is coming up. So let's get some good things going. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Shamans. I want to get through the Palladium Fantasy core book before I move on to something else. I want to get onto Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles next to compare the two editions. I've got the PDFs now. I can get them side by side so we can see the differences in those. And we can go over that book in the future video, as well as go over After the Bomb and books like, Roadhogs as well. Things like that. All those fun books for Turtles that people keep asking about. And I'll get to those as soon as I possibly can. But let's get on to the show here. Turning to page 149 of the revised book, we see it's the Shaman class today. So Shamans are basically wandering backwoods type priests that worship God, a certain group of gods, but they don't actually adhere to a specific religion or sect of a church. They're wandering priests pretty much that like to heal people. They are prophets, a lot of times kings and leaders of tribes, even towns and kingdoms will use a shaman as kind of like a advisor to him or her. They're in charge. So you may see that because they believe to be prophets and people to tell the future. And some of their abilities, you could, as we'll go over here, will actually show the reason why that is why they use them. So let's move on to that. So they could be any alignment they want. They do have to adhere to whatever god or gods they worship for alignment-wise to get their powers. And that is specifically needed. You need to pick. It's not like a shaman can pick the nature and woo. No, they have to pick a patron god or gods, worship them, and follow their alignment restrictions as well. So as long as they do that, they get the powers granted to them. So whatever alignment, there's really no difference there. Spellcasting identical to gods of light, which I wonder. I'm curious why they pointed it out like that instead of just the same as priests, clergy, because I noticed that when we went over the last time over the priests, the spell numbers for gods of darkness and gods of light were different, and I thought that was a typo. Maybe it wasn't a typo and actually was specifically made that way. I don't know. I have to actually ask a few people about that one in the Palladium forums. It probably was a typo, but so if you again worship your god or gods in with the proper alignment, you will get the abilities listed under gods of light or gods of darkness, depending on which your alignment falls under. But prayers are different for a shaman. You get prayer of Denovation and visions of grandeur. So the prayer of divination is basically you get a glimpse of the future. It's a way to foretell an immediate outcome of opening a door or taking an object, seeing an attack, an ambush. But there's more to it. Also, it foretells a sense if a person or a place is an good or evil, and if that person will be a friend or an enemy. Is a 12% chance per level that you can actually successfully do this. I kind of, as a GM, don't like the prayers or abilities like this, because sometimes, even though it's a low percent chance at lower levels that you will actually successfully do this, I don't know. As a GM, I guess this one is fine. I don't know. I just a little bit reserved when it comes to these type of things. And you only can do it twice in a 24-hour period. I guess, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that I'm not particularly happy with something like this. If a player does it, I'm not going to say no, obviously, because it's part of the class. But it's just one of those things that I feel gives out too much meta information to a player. Again, this is my opinion about it. You don't have to agree with it. You can absolutely think I'm an idiot and say no, and have your own opinion. Please tell me in the comments what you think of this. Do you like it? Do you hate it? How do you work with it? I mean, I work with it. It's fine, but think it gives away too much. And the vision one, you can only do it once per day, and 10% per shaman. This creates a vision of inspiration, success, achievement by the shaman. It seems to divine the triumphant success for a battle plan. A simple vision that lightens and encourages the spirit of the shaman. This vision has no real bearing on the future or reality, but merely creates confidence in the shaman. Also adds +1 to saving throws for 6 hours after the vision, and adds a bonus of 5% to all attempts of the divination power above. Now, I like this one better than the other one because it doesn't actually give information, but allows the GM to describe things and make it inspirational. Whether it comes true or not doesn't really matter, but still the overall outcome is you get the inspiration and the bonuses and the effects which listed there. So I like that one a little bit better. Selling spell magic. You cannot sell spells like a priest would do. Sorry. Creating and selling scrolls. No, you can't do that as well. Selling the healing touch, pretty much the same thing. You get the healing touch just like a cleric does or a priest. You can sell it if you want to. Circle study, use of, the same as wizards. They do a lot of these in the older books. See this, see that. Which, when I was writing my book, Mazes and Perils, and I was writing the deluxe version of it versus the original, I did a couple things like see this, and I was told by the publisher, that's lazy, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. And I was just mimicking the style of these books back then. So I just thought it was interesting that now, these days, it's considered lazy. But back then, it was perfectly cool. Probably because back then, when they did these things, they did them all on typewriters as opposed to word processing. I don't know. I think word processing came a little bit more common as the time went on. One thing to note here, and I thought was really interesting about Shamans and Insanity, you automatically start the game with a Psychosis and Insanity. So you have to go to page 11, roll on that chart, and give yourself an Insanity. Because you're frequently neurotic, you're unhealthy to people, and you're wild imagination, you have hallucinations, you have epileptic fits. You know, due to the way this class is set up and how your life is set up, this is a possibility. So you start off with one affliction like that right off the bat. Now, as a GM, I would make you roll. If you're not comfortable with the result, I may let you roll again, just because it's your character. You should enjoy your character. If you don't like the result, then look over the list and pick something that you think might work overall. It is your character. The class has it, but it doesn't mean you have to have it. So as a GM and a player, you can get together and say that you do not have this psychosis, or give the player a way to cure the psychosis, so to speak, if it's possible, which it may not be. Combat, shamans, and weapons. They are knowledgeable in weapons, and they basically have a small list that you can see here on the page of weapon proficiencies they can have. They are trained in hand-to-hand mercenary fighting, which is kind of unusual for these priest classes, but due to the way the class was, you are trained in it. You could use any type of armor you want. Same restrictions apply. The heavier the armor, the more restrictions you get. Minuses and off of prowl and strikes and parry. So remember that when you're playing this game, that if the heavier the armor you wear, some restrictions will apply, which I enjoy. Shamans and magic scrolls, they can use any magical item. There's no restriction on that. To qualify for the shaman class, you must have an IQ of 9, a PE of 10, and you get spellcasting, magical combat, clerical abilities, light or dark, prayers, and the ability to speak one additional language at plus 20%. Elective skills, you get 6 at level 1, 3 at 3, 3 at 8, and 3 at 12. And the secondary skills, you get to choose 8 at level 1, 4 at level 4, and 4 at level 10. And here's your list of skills and your secondary skills. Here's your magical combat, which you will go up. I really do like the magical combat and how they break it down like this. And 1901, which we've seen plenty of times in here, is your experience to get to level 2. So tell me what you think about the shaman class, as next time we'll go over the healer class. It's a pretty simple, basic, wandering type priest that you could get yourself intertwined in a political drama situation, because a lot of people respect shamans and their abilities. So I think it could be a fun roleplay class and a good traveling combat class because they're not that bad at combat as a mercenary fighter. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check that you are still subscribed to the channel. Check that bell notification too as well. And don't forget to keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.